Hello and welcome to the Stack Exchange, where we cast our thoughts and let our arguments resolve. I'm your host, Tristan.
And I'm your co-host, Tyler.
So for today's topic, we're going to be discussing some commanders that we would either add or remove a color from their identity. I just want to be clear that this is kind of a total flavor loss. Obviously, a lot goes into the design behind each of these cards, and we don't want to take away from any of that. This is purely a fun and synergy take on what we think would be fun to see.
Yeah, what Tristan said, I agree with that. There's lots of stuff that goes into why commanders are certain colors and whatnot. There's that whole morality system to it, like for the same reason why Aragorn doesn't have black in his colors because he's not evil or whatever. I'll actually discuss that later as one of my examples, but all right, we prepped 3 commanders each to talk about, so why don't we get into it? I'll start. I am a real sucker for Zada. You've probably noticed from the amount of times I mentioned my Zada deck. But I would love to add green to Zada's color pool. I think one of his weakest points is ramp. So I think and lack of removal, but as a Zada player, I accepted that I'm not removing threats. I'm just going to be the threat. So I think that green adds a lot of good ramp, but on top of that, it also has some amazing protection and buff spells. Stuff like Vines of the Vastwood and Overprotect, they not only buff, but they also add protection, so it adds protection to my whole board and buffs them. And a card that I'd really, really love to have in Zada is Gold Rush, which makes a treasure token and buffs for the amount of treasures I have. Zada makes a lot of treasures. It's kind of his way to ramp currently, especially with Stormkiln Artist. So I think it would be phenomenal in that deck. And I'd love to have green as a Zada player. This is my selfish request.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I think like any mono red player, like seeing green added would be crazy. Just like anything to get Zada out a turn earlier, right? Like a Nature's Lore or
exactly.
3 visits, turn 2 gets him out. Turn 3 for you. It's beautiful.
That, or the fact that once you have more mana, because usually I'm winning with Zada on turn 5, hopefully, but that's not always super consistent because sometimes I don't have enough mana to play out a bunch of buff spells or able to draw fast enough. So I think having extra mana by the time I get to turn 5 will make it a little more consistent as well.
Yeah, in a deck that wants to be going wide and having a ton of creatures, like, obviously you're going wide a little bit, but you're also going super tall. Green is, like, perfect for that. You're adding creature card draw synergies in there, which can be really good. Okay, the first commander or legendary creature that I chose is Lieza, Forgotten Archangel. And the color that I would add here is red. This is, like, 99% because I just want sneak attack in this deck so bad. I'm currently building a Rihanna Angel of Rebirth deck, and the only reason I am building her over Lieza is because you can have sneak attack in Rihanna, and you can't in Lieza. Having black and white will give you so much access to tutors to be able to grab sneak attack. You can run a Recruiter of the Guard in white, which will let you grab a Moonblessed Cleric, which will then let you grab sneak attack. So, I mean, you're just running basically 3 copies of sneak attack on top of any other tutors you run. I also really like the line of playing out a Marionette Master and then playing out Ruthless Technomancer to sacrifice an Atsushi the Blazing Sky, which gives you 3 treasure tokens when it dies. So you play the Ruthless Technomancer, sacrificing Atsushi the Blazing Sky to create 4 treasure tokens off of its power, but then also 3 more off of its death trigger, giving you 7 treasure tokens, which will let you deal 21 damage to someone's face with Marionette Master. And then at your end step, you just get Atsushi back into hand, and you can replay him. And if you find a way to sack the Ruthless Technomancer before the end of the turn cycle, you can get him back to hand and just 8 mana, dump everything out, and redo it with Marionette Master to just gun down the table until you win the game. I think that would be so dumb. Not only that, but you could also throw in a ton of creatures that just want to die that red gives you access to. I mean, I'm not even going to mention any of them just because there's so many. It would just be so broken to have red in there. And then I love the idea of running like a sneak attack deck. It would be so stupid.
That's actually really cool. I like this like weird like creature combo you found using certain creatures. Like I have never heard of Ruthless Technomancer until you mentioned him just now.
Really, dude, I can't say how much of like one of my favorite cards he is. In any black deck that wants to be sacrificing or anything like that, artifacts, I run him with Marionette Master. It's so fun to just gun down the whole table. He can be absolutely insane. Not to mention, like, if you're flickering him and just sacrificing a ton of shit, it gets crazy.
Yeah, I love this little combo you found, and Leista Forgotten Archangel is a commander I've thought is really cool, and I've thought about building several times. So I think that adding the red, making her a Mardu commander could be really fun. And I think that would make her get a lot more play than she currently does, which I'd love to see. I think that would be a super cool commander to see out and play. I love the effect. I'd love to see it more.
Yeah, no, I agree fully. Yeah, exactly. Why I'm running Rian, because she has more colors, but she doesn't quite do it as good as Lieza. Yep. All right, Ty, what do you got for us?
All right, so the second commander I would like to talk about is Bello, Bard of Brambles, who is a Gruul commander, which is actually the precon commander from Bloomborough. I actually bought all of the Bloomborough precons because I thought it was an awesome set. And Bello is my favorite commander from that. It's evident that he was probably everyone's favorite commander, given that he is the most built Gruul commander, even though that set only came out like a year ago.
You're absolutely wild.
Yeah, so Bello is a 3-cost commander, 3/3, and he animates any of your 4-cost or higher non-equipment, non-aura, enchants, and artifacts into creatures. So I think it's such an amazing ability, and not only does he animate them, they get indestructible, haste, and whenever they deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So it's a phenomenal card in and of itself. It doesn't need any more colors, but I'm greedy, like you saw with Zada. So I looked through, I kind of scanned my way through every card that fit those descriptors in the other colors in white, blue, and black. For artifacts, everything was about the same. There were not any really phenomenal other 4-cost or higher like colored artifacts. Most of those are colorless. So the only one I could really think of would be like maybe if you wanted to go with blue since it has better artifact synergy. But I think Enchant is where it really sets itself apart. And I think that becomes the clear winner when you look at like 4-cost or higher enchants. There are a lot of various protection spells in white, like Sphere of Safety, or I can't remember the name of the card, but there's another one that just I think gives indestructible to all of your creatures. So that can help you protect Bello. And also there's just stuff like anthems. There's a lot of 4-cost or higher like anthems in white, which I think could also be really great for this deck. So I think white is what I would add to Bello. It just adds so much in terms of enchant. So you'd probably build a more enchant focused than artifact focused. And to talk about black wasn't like a bad option as a color. It just gets outshined in both categories by the other colors. Like there isn't really any good like black artifacts to use, and the enchants weren't as good as something like white. So I think I'd add white to Bello just for the better access to enchants. And once again, he does not need it. He's perfect the way he is, but I'm greedy, and I would love to see white added so you can throw in some really cool enchants.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely insane, dude. I'm looking here at my Nixia deck, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And you have stuff like Mirari's Wake, which is a 5-cost Selesnya enchant that is an anthem. So creatures you control get +1/+1. But then also whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land could produce. So you're ramping, you have an anthem, and now you have a big beater with trample. That's so crazy. This deck would go so hard. For my second commander, this is kind of a boring one, but I was building an Arkham Dagson deck, and I found myself wanting black so badly. Just for reference, I was building it as a God Pharaoh's Gift hidden commander deck where I was looking to self-mill myself, and black would give me so much access to that. And then the other reason I think it would be fun is to just run Bolas's Citadel in there. You can just tutor for Bolas's Citadel as your hidden commander even and just start storming off. I mean, and there's a lot of good storm and Spellslinger synergies in blue, which would just go great in this deck. I would also run like a Wishclaw Talisman in there, and you just turn Arkham Dagsman from a artifact tutor into tutor for literally anything, and you could probably combo off from there, honestly, as if he wasn't already strong enough. I think the deck would just be really fun. Obviously, black gives you a ton of access to self-mill. The card I would look for right away is just Out of the Tombs. It's my favorite self-mill card, but also it's just going to be good in this deck. Like I said, pretty boring, nothing to elaborate on, really. It's just one that I wish I had when I was building that deck. Cool. Should we get on to your next one, Ty?
Yeah, so I wanted to start with a honorable mention. You know how we mentioned earlier about how there's thoughts that go behind the colors, and like certain ones have certain things attached, like how black is like the evil of people, and that's why like Aragorn doesn't have any black in his color combo. I think Voha, Jaws of the Conclave, should have black because that is an evil, evil fucking card.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Now on to the actual commander, Vivi Ornithir. Vivi's just an insane card. It's likely to get banned in certain formats. I think Tristan mentioned recently that it has a 40% play rate in the Vegas Pro Tour this year, that's just insane. It's a crazy card. To read it out, Vivi is it and then 1. It's a 0/3 with an ability to add X mana in any combination of Is It, where X is its power, and you can only activate that once a turn. On top of that, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a 1/1 counter on Vivi, and it deals 1 damage to each of your opponents. That's absurd. It is every single part of a Spell Slinger just throw deck. Like it's Spell Slinger like burn deck. It's insane. It's every single part of it, because you can play out a bunch of cantrips. If you run out of mana, you just activate the ability once, and now you have as much mana to cast the same amount of cantrips as you did before. Each one of those is making Vivi stronger for the next turn and pinging your opponents for 1. And it's every opponent, not just one opponent. On top of that, it isn't even a tap ability to get the mana, which means turn 3, you can activate this. You're already getting it as soon as they come to the field because they don't have to tap, so you don't have to worry about haste. And it's just such a dumb card. So I think a way to balance Vivi, at least as a commander, it would still be a good card, but just remove red. Or honestly, you could remove either color, but I think removing red and the burn aspect of the card would be better. With red, you're getting a lot of like the burn off of casting your non-creature spells, and you're getting a lot of your burn non-creature spells. So that's where you would mainly get damage off with Vivi, on top of the fact that Vivi is pinging. So if you removed red, I'd assume you'd remove that part of the ability, because that's where the red comes into play when you're reading that card. And other than that, it would still be a very powerful engine in a draw deck. You draw a bunch with your cantrips, then you use the ability to draw more. Well, I mean, to get more mana so you can draw. So I don't think it would be a bad card by any means without access to red. I think it would be significantly more balanced, and you'd probably still see it used in burn decks, but I think it would be a little more balanced, and it would not be as good of a commander, for instance, without access to that red, because you'd be locked into just blue. Heck, I think it could be maybe good to make it Simic, because then you really constrain it and keep it away from the Izzet Spellslinger decks. And then you could remove, once again, you could actually just remove the ability to add counters and give it something like Evolve. That's the essentially the same as something like Gyre Sage, except this time you don't have to tap it. So it'd be like a little bit better version of Gyre Sage. That's a bit of a stretch to remove red, add green, but I think just removing red would make the card a lot more balanced and make it better for the Commander format and just formats in general.
Yeah, no, I agree fully. I think when VV first came out, everyone's eyes were on this card. It is probably like the most powerful card to come out of Final Fantasy, and I tried to build a deck around him and instantly went all the way up to CEDH. I don't know how you don't just go way up the power level. There is no casual VV deck, and I even tried rebuilding him, and it doesn't even matter where you go with it. He's his own engine. He's a ramp spell. He's a damage spell. It's crazy. It's doing everything that you want in those colors, and yeah, it's not a casual commander at all. You can't build it that way. I fully believe that, and I think that these changes would probably help with that. So, good suggestions. Yeah, so kind of to wrap up this whole video, the last commander I want to mention is the whole reason I came up with the concept of this video. One of my first commander decks, and one that will always hold a special place among my commander decks, is Grenzo Dungeon Warden. So this card is kind of janky, and the main idea behind the deck is to find combo pieces and use Grenzo's ability, which is pay 2, put the bottom card of your library into your graveyard. If it's a creature card with power less than or equal to Grenzo's power, put it onto the battlefield. The main idea behind the deck is to find these combo pieces, such as Priest of Gix and Priest of Urabrask, to sack them and find a way to get them to the bottom of your library to cheat them out again with Grenzo Dungeon Warden, using their mana to kind of combo off, and repeatedly use Impact Tremors or Blood Artist effects to ping out the whole table. And I know that blue maybe gives you more access to scrying, and that might actually be the better choice here, but there are a few cards in green that I would absolutely love to put in this deck. A card like Endurance is the first one that comes to mind. It's a creature with flash and reach, and when it enters the battlefield, up to one target player puts all the cards from their graveyard on the bottom of their library in a random order. So if you're hitting a ton of creatures in there, or only creatures in there, you're going to be putting the creatures that you need back onto the bottom. Additionally, a card that I would absolutely love in this deck is Lifecrafter's Bestiary. It's a 3-cost artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1, which is exactly what you want to be doing. Just continuous scry, which this offers you, and a little bit of draw, which I feel like Grenzo needs a little bit of. And it's when you cast a creature spell. So the creatures that you're drawing into your hand aren't going to be dead cards. They're going to allow you to draw. Additionally, there are a lot of creatures, mainly elves, that can tap for a lot of mana when they're on the battlefield, maybe according to the amount of elves you control, creatures you control. I think the first one that comes to mind, obviously, is just Llanowar Tribe. It taps for 3. If you have a haste enabler on this is basically exactly what a Priest of Gix or Priest of Urabrask is doing, but green has a ton of cards that can tap for mana, which can help this deck go infinite a lot easier. I was actually considering playing Grenzo as a partner with the green commander last summer when there was a Pride event that Wizards of the Coast was doing, where you could just partner any 2 legendary creatures and create a commander deck around that. I didn't get around to it, but I think that would have been really fun. Anyways, I would love to add green to this deck. It would give you access to so many more things. But however, kind of as a caveat to this entire video, I think that building with restrictions is really fun, and doing a theme and a color that does it the worst, or at least not the best, is a way to really test out your deck building skills and try something new. Like doing die triggers in a mono blue deck or something like that. That's something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I can agree with that point. I mean, we previously made a Naya Reanimator deck together, focused around 2 of the Friends Forever cards, and we did everything we could to make that deck work. It is just it was such an awful deck, but it was a fun challenge to build a concept in colors that do not do any of that. Alrighty, that's going to be all for this video. If you have any commanders that you would add or remove a color from, feel free to drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the video and would like to hear from us more, feel free to subscribe with the notifications on, or don't, up to you. It's your life. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.